What's up, dudes? Got a boat motor. 1990 Nissan Dale Earnhardt Jr. edition. Bought this motor from a dude at work who was just cleaning out his dad's shed, I believe. And he offered me a price. He said that his dad had this motor and another motor serviced and just put up, never ran again. My friend at work, Arthur, got it out of the shed. He said he cranked it up and it was just spitting gas everywhere, but the motor was running good. And he shut it off. I said, yeah, I'll buy it. So I bought it. Well, I ran into a huge problem. That this motor I didn't get a smoking deal on, and after my huge problem, I'm in the red on this motor. So I thought, why not do a little video going over some things that you guys should be checking. I should be checking on these outboards, because I get burned on outboards all the time, because usually it's a marketplace deal and I got to get it as soon as possible, or because of my schedule I'll arrange some dumb thing to do, is pay a guy for a motor without even seeing it and then go picking it up at a later date. Yeah, that's dumb. I've done it before. I said it many times on the channel. I don't recommend buying an outboard unless you can hear it run. If the guy says it runs, he should have no problem cranking it up for you. If he can't crank it up for you, that's kind of a red flag. He might say, well, I don't have any water hookup. Well, they sell these at Walmart for like 10 bucks. You can go get one of these, you get them from Amazon, hook it up to a water hose, and put it on your lower unit, and crank it up. One issue could be, he don't have a gas tank for it. If you're really serious about the motor or getting an outboard motor, go ahead and get you a gas tank and have it on hand. The fuel hookup's going to be a little different because they're all different on different model engines. That could be a little tough one, but it seems like most outboards that I see come with a gas tank anyways. Now, if you're going to hear it run, I would suggest asking whoever you're buying it from. I'd like to hear it cold start, because a lot of these motors, especially two-strokes, don't like cold starts. So if it takes 10 pulls before it finally starts up, that's not a red flag to me if it's a cold start. Now, if it's warm and it takes 10 pulls, yeah, something probably ain't right with the carburetor, or spark plugs are really fouled, I don't know. But I will say, if you can get a cold start, just pop the hood off, feel on the motor, make sure it's not warm, then crank it up. If it cranks up in 2 pulls, that's probably a pretty decent running motor as long as everything else works. Like I said, sometimes with these two-strokes, you can pull till your arm's about to fall off, and then it'll finally fire up, and then it runs fine. You can stop it and it'll fire right back up. So dude could have warmed it up real good before you got there, and then, oh, here it is, it runs perfect. Well, you get it home, next time you try to mess with it, it's not going to run perfect. If you don't take anything else from this video, if you've never messed with too many outboards before and you're looking to buy one, that is the main key to take away from this video. Don't buy an outboard unless you can hear it run in person. Don't trust the videos that people post on Marketplace and that be it. Tell them you would like to hear it cold start. A few of the mechanical things that you want to look for, you want to make sure the throttle is hooked up and free, because they can seize up over time. Also, the steering, make sure it's not locked up. And if it is stiff, a lot of these have an adjustment screw in the back where you can loosen it up and it makes it looser to turn. If for whatever reason you're dumb like me and you don't listen to an outboard start, one thing you can always do is just pull the cord and make sure it has decent resistance. If it just pulls straight out, that means you ain't got no compression. Make sure the spark plugs are in, obviously. But it should have a decent amount of resistance when you pull it out. Of course, if you hear the motor run and it's hooked up to water, you want to make sure that it is pumping water. And most motors will have a little telltale somewhere. I don't even know where this one is. Somewhere in here where the water comes out. Your water gets sucked up through your impeller, goes through your motor, kind of like antifreeze in your car, and then gets shot out the back. Now, if it's not peeing any water, it's usually one of two things. You have a bad impeller, which is usually a pretty simple fix. It's usually pretty cheap. Or wherever your exit is could be clogged up with debris, like mud. You bring your little pick or even a paper clip, straighten it out, jam around in there, and see if it'll come out. But if it's not peeing water, it's not the end of the world. Usually you can get a whole kit for under 100 bucks. If you're in a pinch, you can just get the impeller, usually for like 20 bucks. So it's not that big of a deal. It's not that hard of a thing to do. Do it yourself if you have a general knowledge of any kind of mechanic stuff. Also, when it's running, make sure it's going in and out of gear. without sounding like the clutch is completely fried. When you put an outboard in and out of gear, you're not supposed to slowly do it. You're supposed to, you know, put it in gear. Don't play around with it. But if you go to put it in reverse and it's not wanting to pop into reverse, it probably means your gears are a little funky. So that's another thing to look for while it's running. Another thing to do is just look at the outboard. You can kind of tell how much an outboard has been used and abused by its overall appearance. Look at the skeg down here at the bottom. Make sure it's not cracked and broken. That means that they've been running it up on too shallow of water. Make sure your cavitation plate isn't cracked and broken. Cavitation plate isn't the end of the world if it has a chip in it or it's a little broke, but it could affect performance, and if you have a crack going through it, that crack could continue on and ruin your lower unit. So obviously it's something to look for. I've come across a bunch of motors that's missing the cowl. And you know, a motor will run okay without a cowl. It's supposed to have a cowl. You don't want to leave your boat out in the rain or have to get a garbage bag every time, you know, to cover it up. Cowls are important. Cowls are also freaking expensive, or they can be. So if the cowl's all busted up or it's missing a cowl, and you want a cowl on it, check it. Make sure you can find the cowl first. Also, if you know exactly what model you're going to look at, check some other things, like check a carb kit, how much it is, how available it is, water pump kit, maybe a prop, stuff like that. Because some outboard stuff is almost obsolete. Some of it's readily available. So it's another thing that could save you money down the road. You could go buy an outboard and the guy says, well, it just needs a carb kit put on it, and you can't find a carb kit. Well, what are you going to do? Always a good idea to pop the hood off and take a look on the inside. I will say this motor right here is extremely clean. But, you know, take a look at it. One huge thing to do, especially if it's an electric start motor, look at the wires, and if you see a whole bunch of wire nuts holding stuff together where people spliced here and there over the years, to me that's a pretty big red flag. You guys know me, I hate messing with electrical stuff, and it's the same way with outboards. Now if it's just a little manual start like this, you don't have many wires at all, but still give them a check. Make sure no one's been jacking around in there and playing an electrician. Now this right here, what I mentioned earlier, this is your cavitation plate. As you guys see, this lower unit doesn't match this outboard, but it did when I got it. And that's where I really messed up on this motor. One thing I don't think I've ever checked when I went to go buy an outboard, so if I would have checked this one, I wouldn't have bought it, knowing what I know now. Check your lower unit oil. I've already recorded all this video and the audio really sucked on it, but I'll go ahead and show you the clip where I was showing to check this lower unit oil. Said it's going to start running out. It's not going to be crazy. That's a lot of water. Dang. That was a lot of water. I think every lower unit that I've come across, all it takes is a flathead screwdriver. You take one and crack open the bottom, take that screw out. As long as the oil fill screw is in, it's not going to pour out unless it's water. You want to make sure you don't have any water in your lower unit. Now a little bit of water is not that big of a deal, but if it just pours out water, you have a major problem. And who knows how long that water's been sitting in there rusting all your gears up. So that's a little check that you could do. Whoever you're getting the motor from is worried about you getting oil, you know, bring a oil pan or bring a paper plate or something for the oil to drip onto, and an old rag. That one little 2-minute check could save you hundreds of dollars, because I just made that huge mistake. And I bought this motor from a guy at work, and as soon as I saw it, I texted him and I showed it to him, and he couldn't believe it. And I trust him, and I trust his dad. They just kind of got screwed over, which their screwed over fell onto me from whoever they took the boat motor to, because it was supposed to be a full service, and there's no way that they serviced that lower unit with that much water in it. And what it ended up being is the housing that you take the prop off, and the housing that's right behind the prop was cracked up top, and it was letting water in behind it. Searched and searched and searched. You cannot get that part brand new. I got lucky and found one on eBay. Ordered it, I think it was like 50 bucks. It came in, well, the housing has a bearing that has to be pressed into it. I don't have a hydraulic press here, so I was trying to put the bearing in with a vise, just slowly, just a little bit, turn it a little bit, and I had it almost in, and I heard a crunch. Well, I broke that freaking gear housing too. So I had to get back on eBay and search for a lower unit, and I got lucky enough to find one for 150 bucks, but it needed water pump seals, which, you know, ain't that big of a deal, and I ordered a water pump kit. So the money I spent on this motor, it was okay in the beginning, and now I'm in the red because of a 2-minute check that I didn't do. If I had checked that and saw that it had water in it, I could have either bartered on the price or just totally said, no, I'm not interested. So I could have saved myself a lot of time, money, and trouble if I had just done that simple check. I see some of the comments, some of you guys have never owned a boat before, and the channel's kind of got you interested in going out and buying a boat, and I can guarantee you the biggest headache that I have almost every boat is an outboard. And a lot of times it's the most expensive thing you buy. And not everybody can go out and afford a brand new 4-stroke Yamaha. I wish I could. I would put a brand new 4-stroke Yamaha on every boat that I build if that were the case. But sometimes you just got to go buy a $300, $400, $500 outboard and hope for the best. I know I'm kind of getting anal with some of this stuff, but I'm just going over things that I've ran into personally that hopefully will save you guys some time and money and headache. Alright, so I've ran this motor already, but it's been sitting up for a while. Let's see if we can't get her fired up. This is going to be a 100% cold start. I haven't ran it since I replaced the lower unit, so I need to make sure the impeller's working anyway. Alright, let's see. Give it some gas. I'm going to flood it. Alright, choke, and run. Peeing. So I'm talking about with the telltale, make sure it's peeing water. This one's a little hidden. Most of them is usually right here. You look up on the inside, there'll be a hose connected to something. This one's way over here. Put her in gear. No grinding. Put her in forward, give her some gas. You can always check the restart on it too. It's a good little motor now. Alright, my dudes. I did leave off one thing that you could always check. Actually, a very smart thing to check is compression. Obviously, if you got a really nice compression tester, you can really rely on it. Mine, I can't rely on because it's a piece of crap from Amazon. But one thing I have noticed, even if the reading shows low, as long as your compression is close on all of your cylinders, it's going to run. Now, granted, you know, if it's showing 30, it might not run. But I've had outboards showing 70 psi. Now this is on my cheap, crappy compression tester, which I think it probably was a little higher than 70. It's just not reading correctly. But I've had outboards show as low as 70 and seem to run fine. But one thing you can rely on is, say the top cylinder shows you 70 and the next cylinder shows you 30. You're going to have a hard time making that motor run. But if you got the money and get you a pretty reliable one, it's a good thing to have on you when you go to check a motor, especially if it's a motor that seems kind of pricey. If you're paying top dollar for something that guy says it runs fine, for whatever reason you can't hear it run, you don't have a gas tank, that's when a compression test would really come in handy. Check the compression on all cylinders. And if it's a bigger motor that has like 4 cylinders, you can have a bad cylinder and the motor still run. If you got a good tuned ear, you can tell that cylinder is not firing good. But if you don't know a whole lot about outboards, you hear it run, you think, oh great. When you get out on the lake and it's bogging down, well, it's probably because that one bad cylinder. So compression tester, not a must, but a very good tool to have in your back pocket. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and shut up. This video is probably longer than I wanted it to be. Like I said, I just want to do a quick run through since I just ran into a problem, and it seems like I continually run into problems. Maybe I'm doing the video to hammer this into my head to do all these checks. I don't really mind tinkering around with motors like this one, but hopefully this video can save you guys a lot of headache if you're not wanting to tool around on an outboard. Like, buy a boat because you want to enjoy it. Well, you don't want to be at the boat ramp throwing your shoulder out of socket trying to crank it because the 9.9 that cranks on the first pull every time is not wanting to start. All right, dudes, I got a little John boat to throw this on. I think it's gonna be the next video. Hopefully it's gonna be a real quick build, so I'm gonna go ahead and start working on it. So the next time you see this motor, it'll be on a little crappy John. This is a crappy John boat. You guys are gonna trip out when you see it. All right, dudes, I appreciate you watching. I'll see you on the next one.